Let us now talk about a new way of looping over arrays, which was introduced in the ES6, and that's the for of loop. Now let's say that we wanted to loop over our entire menu here. Now let's start by creating an entire menu. Const create menu, and that is equal restaurant dot starter menu, and then restaurant dot main menu. Now you already know how to loop over this array using the regular for loop. So you would have to go through all the steps of setting up a counter, a condition, and also update the counter. And that's a lot of work. So that's why we got the for of loop now, in which you don't need any of that. It's such much simpler. This is how it works. We still write for, and then we create a variable here. Write here for, and then const, that is I'm giving item, and then of menu, and then we can log to the console simply the item. So let's write console.log and then simply give item. Now let's see the result. See here what we have in the starter menu and main menu, all are placed here. So see here starter menu and then the main menu. So here the for of loop will automatically loop over the entire array, and in each iteration it will give us access to the current array element, which we can specify here. So in this case it's called the item, but of course we could call it anything that we want. So if we simply log the current item down to the console, so this is here what we get, simply each element logged one by one. So that is because again the item variable is always the current element in each iteration. So and also just like in the if else statement, and we don't need to create a code block when we only have one statement here to execute. Okay, and now it is a really nice level of abstracting over the regular of for loop. So we can do the same thing with one of these, but without having to worry about all the underlying details such as counters and conditions. And what's also great about the for of loop is that we can still use the continue and break keywords. So this is important because in the next section you will learn other ways of looping arrays. And you will not be able to continue or to break. So you need to keep in mind that. But now here, what if we also wanted the current index and not just the current element? So when in the for of loop, it's actually bit of a pain when we need the index, because originally the for of loop was really just meant to give you the current element. However, you can get both, and you will have to do is like this. Again write the for loop, and then again call the item that, and then of menu. Then here we need to call a method that is menu dot entries. And then now write console.log item. Now let's see the result. Now you see here after entering the entries method, see that each of item is now actually an array, and also with the index in the array element itself. Now let's take a look at this menu dot entries actually is. Write console.log and then menu dot entries. Let's take a look, reload. See here, we get that array iterator. But now itself it is not useful for us because we will see the iterators by the end of the course. But now here we need to actually expand this here. So for that, write using spread operator and then place this in a new array. Now let's see the result, reload. See here what menu.entries actually is, which in position contains a new array which contains the element. So the element entity index number of that element in the original array. And also that's why we get the entries like 0, 1, 2, 3 and so on 6. So now here each item of that array is this new array. And so now if we wanted to like print a nice menu, we could take advantage of this data now. Use here the literals. $item and then here the item of 0th element and then plus 1 and also item of 1 and place this in comments. So now let's see here it displayed in a easier way, that is because item is now an array, we can destructure it. We don't have to manually take element 0 and element 1. Let's do that in a better way so that we can actually destructure the item. For that, all we have to do is to destructure the assignment. So for that, let's write here, replace the item with the brackets and then I and then el for element. Now let's place here remove this item, that is I plus 1 and then here item of 1 means year. Simply write like this. Now let's see the result. We get the same result. Now this is all about this. The for loop will make easier to loop over arrays. So this is all about the session. We'll continue in the next lecture. Thank you.